welcome. You're watching The Nation Wants to Know with me, Padmaja Joshi. The question the nation really does want answered today is the Udhav Thackeray government close to a collapse? Is there still a rescue act that they can fashion? A critical meeting is underway even as we speak. We'll get you all the action and what is actually happening. Let's get you started with the headlines. Maharashtra's Aghadi government on the brink after Udhav loyalist and Minister Eknath Shinde rebels along with up to 39 party MLAs. He accuses Udhav of compromising on Hindutva. Sena Minister Eknath Shinde is camping with rebels in Gujarat. Five-star hotel tells Udhav he represents the real Shiv Sena. Ideology of founder Balasaheb Thackeray cannot be compromised. Did Udhav Thackeray's outreach fail? Eknath Shinde refuses to return to Sena fold. BJP minister and Udhav critic Narayana Rane says Udhav should read the writing on the wall and quit himself. With Shinde's rebellion against Udhav putting Aghadi's future on the brink, Sharad Pawar deflects onus, says leadership change is the Sena's prerogative. What's happening is their internal matter.
ना तालमेल है, ना एक विचारधारा है, ना आपस में एक साथ चल के जनता का विकास करने की एक चिंता है, तो ये स्थिति जरूर उत्पन्न होगी.
BJP says it is only watching and waiting. However, sources tell Times Now that two senior leaders have been deployed to keep a close eye on what is happening. With anti-BJP front in Maharashtra imploding, opposition's presidential polls challenge also wears thin. Yashwant Sinha is picked as consensus candidate after top three choices opt out. Former Jharkhand governor and tribal leader Draupadi Murmu along with Dalit leader Tawarchand Gehlot are the front runners for NDA's presidential nominee. A decision could be announced today. NSA Ajit Doval hits out at orchestrated violent protests against Agnipath scheme, says the arson brigade and conflict entrepreneurs who have no stake in the country's well-being are fueling the protests by misleading. It's a Times Now exclusive on your channel. The army chief busts all myths, misconceptions and misgivings associated with Agnipath, calls it a win-win reform to keep India's fighting force young and strong. Shocking and disgusting. No expression can describe what a Congress leader did. Mahila Morcha chief Netta D'Souza spits at women in uniform while protesting against the ED's questioning of Rahul Gandhi. It's been a day of fast developments. These are the top 10 developments at 7 p.m. as far as the Maha Aghadi revolt is concerned. Chief Minister Udhav Thackeray is to meet MLAs of his party any time now. This is the third emergency meet with Sena lawmakers. Remember, only 18 Sena MLAs had turned up for the last meeting. Meanwhile, Ajit Pawar and Balasaheb Thackeray have also reached the Chief Minister's residence, which means the entire Aghadi constituents are in a huddle. The NCP, the Congress and the Shiv Sena are currently in a huddle. Before this, leaders of the Shiv Sena met the Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra and gave a letter formally asking him to remove Eknath Shinde from the post of the Legislative Party leader. Remember, they have already appointed Ajay Chaudhary, proposed his name as a replacement for Shinde. Meanwhile, Eknath Shinde continues to stand his ground. He did agree to meet the personal assistant of Udhav Thackeray himself. Milind Narvekar had been deployed to go meet Shinde and try and win him back. But after making him wait for more than 3 hours, that meeting did take place along with two other MLAs. However, the rebel leader remained absolutely adamant. Shinde and two MLAs met Udhav's emissary but said thanks but no thanks. In fact, there was an attempt by Milind Narvekar to try and get Shinde to talk to Sharad Pawar, and of course Narayana Rane has now stepped in. Former Chief Minister of Maharashtra and former Shiv Sainik himself, he has now asked for Udhav Thackeray to step down, to tender his resignation. Right now, the focus remains on Udhav Thackeray trying to keep his flock together. What exactly is the number game at this point? Close to 20 to 30 MLAs are believed to be with Eknath Shinde at that resort in Surat. Meanwhile, Sanjay Raut has just said, I do not know why Eknath Shinde rebelled. Shinde knew how the BJP has insulted Shiv Sena. Perhaps there is an insinuation that there was pressure from the Enforcement Directorate, which has now forced the minister in the Aghadi government to suddenly turn rogue. Arunil and Shivani are both joining us live from Mumbai and Surat respectively. First, tell us about Mumbai, because I believe, Arunil, now a series of protests have started. But first, an update on that meeting that is taking place between Ajit Pawar and Udhav Thackeray. What's the plan?
Well, Padmaja, I will first show you the mood outside CM Udhav Thackeray's official residence, that is the Varsha. Several key leaders from the Maha Aghadi government, namely there is Surat from the Congress party, there is Jayant Patil and Ajit Pawar from the NCP, as well as several key Shiv Sena leaders have reached over here. Subhash Desai was walking from here. We asked him two direct questions that is the Shiv Sena really in massive trouble? He did not respond. We also asked him that whether the Sena High Command has been able to reach out to Eknath Shinde. He refused to answer those questions as well. Yes, there are a series of protests that have been held across the state of Maharashtra against Eknath Shinde, also against the BJP. There is a front that is being portrayed by the Shiv Sena leaders, saying that all the rebel MLAs have left the party only because of pressure tactics being employed. The BJP agencies were also misused. That is what the Shiv Sena has been saying. However, everything boils down to the numbers, Padmaja. And Narayan Rane has asked a direct question to CM Udhav Thackeray, saying that if 35 of his 55 MLAs are not with him, then he can't be the CM of Maharashtra. He has to step down immediately. Now, exactly how many numbers are there with CM Udhav Thackeray? That is the main paramount question. In fact, he had a show of strength meeting earlier in the day around 4 p.m. That time only 16 of his MLAs were present at his Varsha residence. So if only 16 MLAs are there with CM Udhav Thackeray, where are the remaining 39 MLAs? That is the million-dollar question that comes to the fore. Is the Shiv Sena in touch with these 13 MLAs? How many MLAs have gone on to support Eknath Shinde? In fact, Eknath Shinde's camp has been saying that 25 to 30 MLAs are with them. If that is the number, then it is a massive trouble for CM Udhav Thackeray and the Shiv Sena.
All right, talking of numbers, we'll quickly show also what the numbers game is like right now and what scenarios does the Shiv Sena government have in front of it. The big story, of course, right now is that the meeting is taking place at Varsha between the three constituents. But here is what the numbers game is like. What is very important is that after the revolt, the Sena rebel MLAs are as much as 39, which means that the NDA has 113 and the majority mark stands at 145. However, this is that critical number. 145 is what is needed for a majority mark, and if Eknath Shinde and sources close to him are to be believed, this is the number that the NDA now has in its kitty. NDA plus Sena rebels is 152. That's the number that we have. All right, more news coming in right now. Protests are taking place in Palghar as well. Sena workers are protesting against the BJP. First, we saw it happening in Mumbai. We saw it in various parts of Mumbai. And now I believe, Shivani, across Maharashtra. So that's a poster of Eknath Shinde, which has now been blacked over. Earlier we saw posters calling him traitor. Now it seems that the Senics have been mobilized against Shinde. Over to you, Shivani.
Well, definitely, and that is why we see that at the particular places where there is a Marathi crowd, where there are the supporters of Eknath Shinde in across Thane and on the boundaries of Thane, there were posters. In fact, few days back on his birthday, those were placed that they pray that Eknath Shinde should become the CM of the state. And simultaneously, new poster politics has taken place, wherein the own Shiv Sena party has come forward and is blackening all the faces of Eknath Shinde from all those posters. Those are placed in Palghar, and in fact few more posters were also placed in and they were also blackened in. But what we are also given to understand right now, not only in Palghar or in Thane or in other parts of Mumbai, but simultaneously other parts of Maharashtra will also be witnessing protests if in case Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde does not agree to merge in back with Shiv Sena party. And also here when we are in Surat, we are seeing constantly that more and more supporters are also coming in, but they are also not allowed to move inside.
Okay.
And in fact, more meetings are also very much likely. Phone calls
Shivani,
are
simple
already...
question. You had Milind Narvekar return practically empty-handed. Are more people now being sent to try and convince Eknath Shinde?
Well, as of now, only Milind Narvekar has come and was somehow able to meet Eknath Shinde. But yes, Eknath Shinde has not agreed to him as well, who is the personal secretary of CM Udhav Thackeray. Clearly showcases that Eknath Shinde is in no mood to his mind and his opinion. That is why calls are being made, but yes, no other person has been sent from Shivsena. But yes, of course, Padmaja, importantly at 8 p.m. when we'll see CM Udhav Thackeray and Mr. Pawar's meeting that will be conducted. After that particular meeting, we'll see that how prominent faces also try to reach out to Mr. Eknath Shinde, because as we have also heard in the past, in fact now Sanjay Raut also said that somehow BJP has been able to influence Eknath Shinde, and that is the pure example what
BJP
is happening.
BJP has influenced Eknath Shinde. How, that Mr. Sanjay Raut will still explain. But now the Congress is also trying to re-influence Shinde back. Madhav, Kamal Nath apparently is the chosen man.
Well, absolutely, and Congress clearly knows that Kamal Nath is a person who has seen many such crises in the past. In fact, in the recent past, we have seen how in Madhya Pradesh also, literally the rug pulled under his feet, with a similar sort of model being employed. And clearly, of course, the Congress says that it is a similar attempt at destabilizing an existing government. That's the allegation even Sharad Pawar made at today's press conference. He said that this has happened 3 times in Maharashtra in the recent past since this government has been in power. But be that as it may, the Congress and NCP, while they may say outwardly that they are confident that the government is not going to fall, that they have the numbers on their side, within the Shiv Sena camp, of course, it's an entirely different story. Not just, of course, has Eknath Shinde at least appear to have walked away with a majority of the MLAs. The larger question is, this also raises serious questions about the control that Thackerays have over the party itself, because this manner of challenge to the Thackerays perhaps has never happened in the recent past. Also, of course, it gives a lot of sort of wind to the talk and the speculation that the Thackerays perhaps were not associated with what the party's cadre and leadership at the ground level really wanted. Because clearly, with Eknath Shinde positioning himself as a champion of Hindutva, saying that he wants the party to return to those Hindutva roots, this is something that could also perhaps invigorate...
Just stay with me, because Arunil, in fact, tried to speak to senior Shiv Sena leader Subhash Desai about what their strategy is, what the end game is going to be, how many people are really there. Because a meeting was called at Varsha by Udhav Thackeray. There were slogans in support of the Chief Minister there. But sources say that only 18 MLAs actually turned up. Here's what happened when we tried to speak to the Sena MLA, to the Sena leader.
Sir, government is in trouble. Shivsena in massive trouble.
Sir, बात हो पाई क्या एकनाथ शिंदे के
Sir, सरकार मुश्किल में है. Sir, government is in trouble. Shivsena in massive trouble.
सर बात हो पाई क्या एकनाथ शिंदे के
सरकार मुश्किल में है.
Okay, still tight-lipped. Everyone is tight-lipped. Of course, Sanjay Raut is the only one who is saying that there is an effort to try and carry out another operation. Kamala, stay with me. Shivani, Arunil and Madhav, let me quickly get in our guests as well. Karan Verma, author; Naveen Chomal, lawyer; Ravi Srivastava, political analyst; Sham Hashmi, lawyer. Ravi Srivastava, it seems that Shiv Sena has pretty much been left high and dry.
Padmaja is nothing like that. It has happened twice in past as well. And BJP is sulking since last 2.5 years and making desperate attempts by using the central agencies on Sena and NCP leaders and all, just to bring down the government. But this time, this is a bit serious, because this Shinde has taken the Hindutva plan.
Yes.
This is not a Hindutva.
Okay.
This is a Hindutva of money back. This is a Hindutva of Eknath Shinde's aspiration. This is a Hindutva of JP's desperation. This is nothing Hindutva.
Okay.
Hindutva is only an excuse.
I will take your word for it because you are a well-known expert on Hindutva. Naveen Chomal will quickly respond. Let me just tell our viewers that what you see right now are posters that are now being put up across Mumbai of Shiv Sena cadre saying, Udhav Thackeray, we are with you always. Sadaiv Tumcha Saath. We are always with you. We will always remain with you. So Cadre Karan Verma still saying we are with you.
You know, Padmaja, the Thackerays were known to have an iron-like fist grip over their cadre. Why has this wilted? Why has it gone loose? The truth is they have deserted their core ideology of Hindutva.
Okay.
You ask anyone who knew the Shiv Sena of Balsha's times, they'll tell you Hindu Hirday Samrat Hindutva. Those were the first two names that came up. When lynchings happen in Palghar, when they do flip-flops on CAA, when they align with a party that was called Cancer in no less words by late Balasaheb Thackeray, then people see through your nefarious designs. People know that today you don't stand for the ideology that got you into prominence. And that is where people start deserting you.
People are beginning to see through this. Ehtisham Hashmi.
Yes, actually nowadays it's quite unfair and unconstitutional to get involved in horse trading, and we have seen time and again that BJP government is trying every attempt to demolish the democratic setup and constitutional mandate.
Actually, the BJP is saying we are doing nothing. Chandrakant Patil today said we don't know, we don't care.
Unfair.
Let Eknath Shinde make up his mind. That's literally what Chandrakant Patil said.
See. One of the prominent leader of BJP, he is an ex-CM and ex-minister. He wrote a dedicated book on this topic.
Okay.
That BJP leaders are indulging in horse trading.
Okay.
And future of our country is at stake. And leaders like Deen Dayal Upadhyay and Swami Vivekananda, their soul must be shedding tears because of this illegal act. And each and everyone else knows very well that what BJP senior leaders are doing.
Okay. What are they doing?
They are power-hungry people.
Because mostly people don't know. So what are they doing? If you know what BJP leaders are doing, tell us. What are they doing?
Do you support horse trading, ma'am?
Sir, I don't support. You said each one of us knows what BJP is doing. So I'm asking you, what is the BJP doing?
Who voted for Shiv Sena?
I'm curious. I want to know what is the BJP doing.
Knows. Only those people can't. Only those people can't see their illegal act who are having an orange spectacles on their eyes, orange goggle on their eyes. That's why they can't see.
Okay, so help out.
Those goggles,
help out. You're saying everyone knows what BJP is doing. Most people can't see it.
You will definitely see the illegal act committed by BJP.
All right, Naveen Chomal.
Talking about being power hungry, these Shiv Sena people, they came to power by claiming that we are with BJP, we are with the Hindu ideology in 2019. People like me, in our area, there was Shiv Sena candidate, we went and voted for Shiv Sena only because they are with BJP. And that's why they got their 55 MLAs or 56 MLAs got elected. And now, after winning the election, they joined the MPA. So who's power hungry? And what are they talking about? And the ideology, the Shiv Sena has drifted from the entire ideology of Hindutva. And that is why there is a rebellion. There was 2.5 years of lockdown, so the government was not functioning. Now when the lockdown is over, now actually the MLAs are responsible for what they are doing.
Naveen Chomal is speaking as a voter.
What is Shiv Sena doing today?
Mr. Chomal,
sacrifice to the ideology.
Shiv Senics in the Thane are on the street. They are flattening the face of Eknath Shinde. Why don't you go there and stand up for Eknath Shinde? You also go protest for Eknath Shinde. You go protest there, no? Why you are
okay, we are getting big news. We are getting big news. Let's go across to Arunil with this big piece of news coming in. What actually happened? Let's just go straight to Arunil. What happened, Arunil? We are getting to know that actually Udhav did manage to get Eknath Shinde on the phone. Then?
Well, that is right, Padmaja. This is an exclusive information that we are bringing in for our viewers. CM Udhav Thackeray did manage to speak to Eknath Shinde, the rebel leader from the Shivsena, who has made his own faction for around 15 to 20 minutes, the conversation lasted between CM Udhav Thackeray and Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde put forth only one condition, basically saying that he wants the Shivsena back with the BJP. For him, Hindutva is paramount, and he has made this move, or the rebel MLAs have made this move, not for their own personal interests, not for the sake of power, but for the sake of Hindutva and for late Bal Thackeray. That is what Eknath Shinde has made, has basically put forth to CM Udhav Thackeray. There was clearly no icebreaker with respect to the conversation that had taken place. CM Udhav Thackeray asked Eknath Shinde to come to Mumbai and have a formal conversation with him. However, Eknath Shinde clearly denied that, saying that you should think over it. We are taking this decision because we want Shivsena again back with the BJP. We don't want to be with somebody who are basically arch rivals of late Balasaheb Thackeray, and we can't forget Hindutva for the sake of power.
Interesting. 20 minutes conversation of trying to convince Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde only saying, I want to stand only for Hindutva. Was he made any offer? Arunil?
Well, there were many pleas, many requests, also conditions being put up, offers being made by the Shivsena High Command. That's what we understand. That is on the expected lines as well. However, Eknath Shinde was very, very upright in the conversation that he was having. He basically pointed towards the fact that there is no personal interest involved in this with him or the other MLAs concerned, the rebel MLAs that are with the Shivsena. They are basically only disappointed with the fact that the Congress and the NCP are not treating them properly.
Okay.
They were very happy during the Ravindra Fadnavis government, and most importantly, most of the party workers, their own voters feel that Hindutva has been ditched for, Hindutva has been backtracked by the Shivsena when they joined hands with the Congress and the NCP, and several incidents prove that as well.
Interesting. Ravi Srivastava, it seems that at least Eknath Shinde is more worried what he will say to his voters when he goes back. Elections will happen in just a few years from now.
Precisely.
Yeah, definitely. His voters are expressing the resentment right today. So he should be prepared to face them.
Well, you heard what Arunil said. Basically, Eknath Shinde conveyed to Udhav Thackeray, what will I say? I was treated better when I was with the BJP.
What I'm telling you is that the Shiv Sena is also upset that they want to bring down the government. And that he wants that it should merge with the BJP again. Why did he not know it?
For Hindutva.
November 19. He was only instrumental in making the government with the Congress and NCP.
Okay.
Why took this 2.5 years?
Naveen Chomal.
Realization.
There was a total lockdown and the government was not functioning. There was hardly any scope for political maneuvers. But now today, since the lockdown is over, now the government is about to run. Naturally, the MLAs are responsible to the voters.
Sir, government is running very strong. It is the BJP.
How can they betray the voters?
BJP's greed which is not allowing to run it.
What Shivsena has been doing, it has become totally a greed party. It is compromising on Hindutva, on the nationalism. Everywhere they are subjecting them.
I told you, it is Hindutva of Gundagardi, Hindutva of hijab, halal, loudspeaker, azan. That is not Hindutva. That is Gundagardi. State Gundagardi, sir. That's not Hindutva.
Okay, Ehtasham Hashmi, although I have to say, Ravi Srivastava, all these definitions you are giving for Hindutva in the very brave defense of Shiv Sena might just be held against you if the Shiv Sena does decide to go back to its old alliance partner. Phir kya hoga? Ehtasham Hashmi.
See, I would like to quote here the former Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Shanta Kumar. In his autobiography, he is clearly mentioned that BJP is indulging in sale and purchase of MLAs. And first we have to protect our national interest. And religion is a personal issue. And Shiv Sena MPs and MLAs who are trying to sell their soul, sell their honesty for BJP, they can't deviate themselves from the promises which they have made before winning the election. And now this book is out, autobiography written by Minister Shanta Kumar, and nobody has challenged that autobiography, in which it is clearly mentioned that BJP leaders, senior BJP leaders, are trying and indulge in sale and purchase of MLA.
Okay, Karan Verma.
You know, Padmaja, it's only poetic justice today that a party
What you have to say on it?
to power
BJP
on the
senior leaders
entire
have not
premise of
challenged it for-
backstabbing, on the entire premise of backstabbing and deserting its core ideology is teaching us from the high moral horse that defection shouldn't happen, politics of convenience shouldn't happen. Well, this is their own doing. Today, Udhav Thackeray is down on his knees because he deserted his core ideology of Hindutva. When you run a coalition out of compulsions, out of numbers and not out of convictions, this is bound to happen. And it's only fitting justice that this happens today, and Udhav Thackeray is grappling for numbers. He's clutching at whatever can come his way. So I think the magic number is 36, because if they are able to escape the anti-defection law, then it's lock, stock, barrel, game over for Udhav Thackeray.
All right, let me quickly bring in Shivani also, because she is at the spot. While we can only speculate about the numbers, the person who is physically closest to the numbers of MLA present in Surat is Shivani. What's the estimate you're getting, Shivani?
See, as of now, what we are given to understand, there are 30 MLAs at least of Shiv Sena solely, which also now has an addition of one independent MLA, and that is why we see the picture here is very clear that 50% plus MLAs of Shiv Sena are in the cadre, are in the courts, are in the balls of Eknath Shinde, and that is why the constant, the praying and pleading is taking place with Eknath Shinde. And we can clearly say earlier also in the meeting, Padmaja, a list was given by Shiv Sena where there were 33 MLAs name were there, those who met and had attended meeting with CM Udhav Thackeray. But when we were reporting on the ground, we saw that only 18 MLAs could reach out to that particular meeting and not 33, because most of them are not present in Mumbai. They are in Surat with Eknath Shinde. And that is why we see 30 are Shiv Senics, plus one is an independent, and more additions are very much likely, and that is why Eknath Shinde is very much firm. He will not change his mind, and he has still kept a door open for Shiv Sena, but in case if Shiv Sena accepts his terms and conditions. But yes, of course, as Arunil was also bringing us the information that he spoke to CM Udhav Thackeray for 20 minutes, definitely terms and conditions was also given
but somehow Sanjay Raut still giving off an air of confidence, speaking now and saying that he's an old friend. He's going to come back. Eknath Shinde is a Shiv Sainik before anything else. So there is still a sense of confidence that Sanjay Raut at least seems to be projecting. But we are learning, and that's the big breaking that we are getting right now, is that what Eknath Shinde said is that we have felt very ignored for the last 3 years, that we are being mistreated by the Congress and NCP, that the decisions were not being taken by taking us into confidence, and that really is the reason why eventually they decided to break away. Betrayal of Hindutva, betrayal of Shiv Sena's ideals, that's the reason being given by this bunch of rebel MLAs. But are the numbers on their side? We'll take a very quick break at this point. I'm back in a minute, and there's more breaking news coming up on the other side, because 8 p.m. is another very, very important meeting. Even as we speak, we have the Congress, NCP and the Shiv Sena in a meeting inside the CM's residence. Don't go anywhere.